time, and we'll be moving on to the next session, but there's a disclaimer towards that, and that is that we have allotted certain amount of time because of the time constraints. और जो भी टाइम हमने दिया है उसी के दौरान आपको बोलना है. हम आपको 10 मिनट पहले बता देंगे कि पैनल डिस्कशन खत्म होने वाला है, और ये मेरी तरफ से होगा क्योंकि मेरे मोढे पे बंदूक चलेगी, जैसा कि हम दिल्ली में बोलते हैं. बट नेवर माइंड, ये होने वाला है. और यहाँ पर अब मैं बुलाना चाहता हूँ हमारे नेक्स्ट पैनल डिस्कशन मेंबर्स को, जो कि हैं Chetan Mahajan, founder and CEO, Imagexx Session Chair; Dr. Kulveen Trehan, coordinator, PhD Research, University School of Mass Communication, GGSIP, University, New Delhi; Dr. Surbhi Dhaya, professor, IIMC, New Delhi. Please, please, please. Dr. Surbhi Daya, Professor, IIMC, New Delhi; Professor Ramula Kumar, Dean, Delhi School of Communications; Pooja Pathak, Co-founder and Director of Media Mantra; Priya Mishra, Chief Talent Officer, BCW, India. मेरी सभी से दरख्वास्त है, प्लीज एक बार स्टेज पे आ जाए एंड सम मेक सम नॉइज गाइस. अभी तो दिन की शुरुआत हुई है, अभी बहुत लंबा शो होने वाला है. चलिए, सारे अतिथिगण यहाँ आ चुके हैं, वेटरन्स अपनी जगह ले चुके हैं, और इस सेशन का जो टॉपिक है वो बेसिकली है हाउ पीआर एजेंसीज एंड एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट्स कैन कोलैबोरेट टू ऐड वैल्यू इन द पीआर करिकुलम. तो मुझे लगता है कि ये काफी ज्ञानवर्धक होने वाला है, और बहुत ही ज्यादा ज्ञानी लोग यहाँ पर हैं हमारे बीच मौजूद, सारे प्रोफेसर्स हैं और सारे कॉलेजेस हैं. सो दिस इज गोइंग टू बी एडिंग अ लॉट ऑफ वैल्यू टू एवरीबॉडीज लाइफ एंड पीपल हु आर इन द पीआर इंडस्ट्री एंड फ्रेटर्निटी. Off you go, and I think can we provide them mics, please? Thank you, and water as well, because they'll be talking about a certain topic. Can we have some water for them as well? Anupam, can you look at it? All right, once again introducing Chetan Mahajan, founder and CEO of Imagexx Session Chair; Dr. Kulveen Trehan, coordinator, PhD Research, University School of Mass Communication, GGSIP, University, New Delhi; Dr. Surbhi Dahiya, professor, IIMC, New Delhi; Professor Ramula Kumar, Dean, Delhi School of Communications; Pooja Pathak, co-founder and director in Media Mantra; Priya Mishra, Chief Talent Officer, BCW India Group. I think everybody knows the topic, and off you go.
Thank you so much, and it's very unfortunate that I couldn't make it to the venue today, down with COVID, while no severe symptoms, but didn't want to take a chance to infect others. So thanks for the introductions, and I will not spend a lot of time here introducing now everybody of the panel. It's a very acclaimed panel, very experienced, and I'm so looking forward to this conversation and making sure that we have a good takeaway from this session. So now diving directly into the conversation, the overall quality of talent is one of the biggest challenges we face across multiple industries, and our industry is definitely not an exception. If 90% of the engineers are unemployable, it's only fair to assume that at least 1/3 or half of the communication professionals who come out of the schools and colleges, best of the breed, are still lacking in the overall skill sets which are required by the industry today. While the industry and academic institutes have been collaborating for long, the situation isn't getting better, and particularly so because the demand has been growing very aggressively. So while the broad quality of talent must have improved, but since the number of people we need in the industry, I think that's a big challenge. Most of the agencies continue to spend a lot of time, energy, and many a times a lot of money to make the fresh talent productive in their ecosystem. So in this session, we will deliberate on how the collaboration between academic and industry institutions is helping to improve the curriculum, and what else can be done to strengthen this partnership and create a better pool of talent for the industry. So to start with, we'll go with the free-flowing views and personal experiences of all the panelists here. And can I please request Surbhi to share her views, and maybe 2 to 3 minutes for everybody, ideally without any interruption. Thank you so much. Over to you, Surbhi.
So thank you, Chetan. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Professor Surbhi Daya, and I'm a professor with Indian Institute of Mass Communication, and I would like to thank Ad Guli to invite me here. Um, I would like to express my views on the industry academia collaboration. I feel that industry academia collaboration is very, very vital for a sustainable, ecosystem where both the industry and the academia will flourish. And in such a dynamic and in such a competitive global business environment, it really becomes quintessential to ensure the development and application of a relevant body knowledge. And I feel that on one hand, where industry is responsible for facilitating for knowledge transfer between academia and industry, and it's basically a bi-directional channel for this knowledge. On the other hand, I feel that the academia, it needs to ensure a very deep, understanding of the industry as well as deep industry focus in their curriculums. So, the need for collaboration between the industry and academia, they are now more than what was ever required before because of the changing dynamics of the industry as well, especially post-COVID. PR agencies, organizations, even the entrepreneurs, they should provide opportunity to, even create research modules or curriculum development or live projects or first-hand interactions. And we feel that academia, on its part, they should also reciprocate by encouraging the faculty and students to go beyond the curriculum, to think big, to think out of the box and maintain a deep industry focus. So besides imparting the core and the technical knowledge, I would say academia should also try to focus on other skills, which are the softer skills, which we just heard in the morning. And we should also focus on behavioral aspects, on English language or Hindi language, whatever is required, because having the interpersonal skills, leadership capabilities, having a command over the language, case studies, all these are a part, where academia should also, be a part of and be, responsible for encouraging the students. Another one could be a team spirit, for example. So there are so many startups these days, and there are so many innovative ideas. Some of them being pushed by the government itself. And businesses, they are trying to acquire more competitive advantage, more competitive edges. So what we need to do is that we need to realize that one of the key hubs of nurturing the innovative talent, the innovative mindset, is the education sector. So these institutes, all these institutes, whether they are the J School institutes or they teach advertising, PR, or integrated marketing communication, we should all focus on the commercial viable research as well. So, I have witnessed that these young adults in IIMC and other colleges, wherever I go to, and the J schools, they are thinking big, they are thinking out of the box. So what happens is that when industry collaborates with academia, they get a real-time advantage, they get a real-time, opportunity to learn, to, apply their minds on a real-time campaign. So we, always try and, do more and more collaborations, whether it is in the form of workshops or, guest lectures or industry interface or internships or, carrying out or implementing real-time campaigns with the industry. We always give an opportunity to our students, and I would request the industry professionals sitting here to also think in this direction, that if they can support and collaborate more with the J schools in this manner, they would certainly learn more and serve the industry later or sooner. So thank you so much. Over to you, Chetan.
Thank you, Surbi. Kulveen, can I request you to, to share your views now? And then you're amongst the very few people who have, had an opportunity to be on the industry side first, and then be on the the other side where you have helped more than 1,000 students to be part of the ecosystem today. So it will be very. I'm very excited to hear your views.
Thank you, Chetan, and good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be here. Many compliments to Bijoy for conceiving this program, and especially in person. And like Nikhil said, and of course, the talk before us pointed out, many of us today perhaps do not want to identify as just advertising professionals or PR professionals. We are in the communication industry. We are trying to understand integrated communication in a more practical framework. And this is where I like the use of the word collaboration. Collaboration between industry and academia. No, this is not new. Like Chetan pointed out in the beginning, that industry and academia have been working together ever since, media education took off. So yes, all of us have been collaborating, but the roles have been changing. There have been complementary roles of media academia and industry, and then there have been supplementary roles as well. Like for instance, the agencies will point out at certain inadequacies and certain skill sets which are required, and the academia will respond through curricular changes, through practical interventions, through live real-time engagements. All of that has been happening in the last 2 decades. And yet, these are very interesting times. When I say that, of course, I bring into discussion what has been discussed in terms of digital disruption and how that has changed the communication landscape. And not just the consumers. Especially in the public relations industry, I would say that the impact is deeper because in the last with the turn of the millennium, we saw, even if I would not like to admit, but we saw the fall of advertising and the rise of PR. Being an advertising professional, I would like to maintain advertising reigns supreme, but no longer the case. Public relations established its validity far more in the last 2 decades, and we can all see how, whether it's a startup, it's a non-profit organization, or the India Inc., everybody has been heavily relying on the kind of content, on the kind of communication, and more importantly, the third C, the community engagement which public relations has been able to generate in the last 2 decades. And these are the 3 C's we need to collaborate upon. As academicians, as PR educators, our responsibility is to listen. We need to listen to our friends in the industry when they point out at certain gaps, at certain areas where we need to work together. And they also, I am sure, are very open to listening to how the work we are doing, like for instance, Chetan pointed out that we come from industry and have been into full-time academic research for now more than 2 decades, which is true. And what is my experiences with international public relations agencies and educators tell me that what is benefiting, what is leading to a meaningful relationship between academia and industry in the West, or for that matter, even in Eastern Europe, is perhaps how the kind of interventions, the kind of effectiveness matrices, the kind of barometers in research for PR audit, for PR effectiveness, for PR strategy and tactics, and not just message, media, and market research, which we conventionally undertook, that is benefiting the industry. And we were talking about numbers in the previous session and how everybody is interested in analytics through numbers. I would say, let's expand the definition of data. Data is not just number crunching. Let's look for information within data. Who are the people who are responding like that? Why are they responding? What are the new ways of looking at social commentary, narrative analysis? What are the discourses on social media which is creating this spillover effect and which is leading to this continuous loop of communication and generating conversations, And above all of us, since public relations still in India remains largely about news development, we need to differentiate as educators, we need to teach, and as practitioners, we need to underline the need to establish the difference between news and noise. We have too much information at the moment. Let's continue to tell our students what exactly is news, what is a news value, and then integrate the values we create in an academic environment, the values of business ethics, the macro values. You know, storytelling comes out of who you are. How do you view the world? The content you create is not just 140 characters or 280 characters for short content, or the audio visual you make. Those are not, those are coming out of your sensibilities of the sociopolitics of the country, of your understanding of the macro business environment in the world. So we as educators have to be responsible in introducing them to the idea of what are businesses, what is the understanding of transparency, how the communication landscape maneuvers itself through industry dynamics and market adaptability. What is the semiology of culture and communication? Because, you know, even though we are rapidly globalizing, what we are also looking out is the love for the native, localization of content, and not just language, localization of context, localization of subtext in what you write. So whatever we teach them in written communication, in oral communication, in audiovisual communication as educators, we need to actually not just tell them the language in PR, but also the context. And then only they can create novel communication which will allow brands to differentiate from the others. It's a challenge these days for brands across product categories to be different. So as communicators, we need to actually rise up to the challenge. Over to
Thank
you,
you so
Ketan.
much, Kulveer. Very valid points. And can I move to Ramolaji? Ramolaji, you're amongst the most experienced on this platform, and you have had very diverse experience. So it will be wonderful to hear your thoughts.
Uh, I think my young colleagues have said a lot about, the interactive, the research part, the workshops, etc., that they are engaged with at their own institutes and organizations. Two words come to my mind: commandability, accountability. If you have the command of the language, you can command content. And if you command content, you become accountable. So commandability and accountability, very simple formula. But, I find that a lot of, I have had comments from, observations, sorry, from senior Wonderman Thompson people and from other PR agencies also. यार मुझे एक कैंडिडेट दे दो, एक कैंडिडेट दे दो जो एक पेज बिना गलती के लिखे, whether it is in Hindi, Sanskrit, local lingua. Radhika wanted 80% of our market is from tier 2. She needs somebody who understands the local person. Okay? So it doesn't matter. You don't have to be English honors literature, please. You just need to be very Desi and Punjabi also. Hai na? So if you have the command of the language, you got it. This is it. But please don't make horrendous mistakes on, ye kya hua. I mean, just do it. It's just 3 words. All is well. Just 3 words. They didn't have any. But look at the way they took that the world by a storm. Everybody just does it, यार. आजकल की generation तो just does it ही है ना? So they're wonderful people. I think these youngsters have a lot of energy. I think they have the gift of the gab. They have this little dibba which they're carrying all the day long. है ना? थोड़ा यार मिलके भी बात करो, पता लगता है. Nikhil Dev was so right when he entered and said, "Thank God that you're here, and you're not behind some camera which I don't even know whether you're there or not." So I'm very happy to see all of you, just like Nikhil sir. And I think that, this is the way to command. When you meet each other, when you see each other, when you touch each other, the 5 senses are awake and you can command better. You can express better. All right? And when you do that, you become more accountable automatically. Accountability के बिना कुछ नहीं है भाई साहब. Hello. 7 lakhs का जॉब चाहिए तो तेरी तो काम पे लग जा, काम पे लग जा, अपने आप मिल जाएगा. Am I right? Are we okay? Are we okay with that? Yeah. Yeah, well, Pooja takes my students, so she knows very well where I'm coming from. So I think that, we just need to be a little bit understanding of each other's commitments, and we need to really, if you can just hold my mic for me. It's very easy to do this. It's more difficult to do this, and look at the power it generates. And it's much more difficult to do this. And look at the power it contains. Simple body language gestures, but they contain so much. When you're together, when the industry is together with the academia, this is what it does. So that's where I'm coming from. And thank you very much, Ad Gully and ma'am, for the platform. I hand you over to Chetan sir back.
Thank you so much, Romolaji. I think, in the most simplistic format you have explained, how the collaboration can immensely benefit both the academia as well as the industry. So Pooja, lovely to have you here. And I didn't know that you were also a student of Romola. So it's amazing to have both the teacher and student on the same platform. And you've been in the industry for the longest time. And I'm sure, like most of us, you've had your share of challenges with respect to fresh talent. And if you look at from a dynamics of the industry, I think fresh talent and people who are within 2 to 3 years of experience, they also enable the overall execution engine for the agency. And it'll be lovely to have your views shared with us, Pooja.
Hi everyone. So not student of Ramolaji, but I hire from their college. So
Oh, okay.
I've been associated with the college. So just to start with, Media Mantra is inching towards completing a decade. And since that time, it's been 10 years that I've been associated with the colleges of different nature and only teaching about communication and out of personal interest being associated with the college. And the reason why I feel it's very imperative to be a part of this journey is because we are looking at talent, we are looking at hiring talent, and it's very important that if we are able to make the education more relevant in context to what the current education system is doing. And I've often seen that when a representative from an industry goes and talks in the college, it kind of adds to the experiential learning of the person. It kind of adds more volume and more depth towards what the person or what the industry actually demands. The institutions are doing a fantastic job. They're looking at a great way of nurturing the students, but any kind of an industry experience is a value addition for the child. Having said that, there are also very important programs like, job shadowing programs, mentoring programs, just lecturing programs. So all these kind of things are very important to shape up the entire career for the candidate. I often look at, when we discuss internally about hiring interns, I'm of the opinion that yes, more and more people should be hired because for the organization, it's not such a head-turning expense or an investment, whichever way you look at. But for that candidate, it is surely a career-defining moment. And the reason why I say that is because there are times that you, as an expert, kind of analyze the person's capability more than what the child is actually looking at. There are instances when a person has come to us for a public relations role, but has eventually performed excellent in content or social media. So that is a discussion and that is something which they can only learn when they are in the organization. That is something which I think if curriculum learning can be integrated, and when I say integrated, I mean it should be to a very large extent integrated with a lot of experiential learning, and it should be the responsibility of a togetherness because we are looking at talent, we know where the gaps are, and it is only about organizations who sometimes feel that if I want to be more inclined towards the institutions, then yes, that can be there. But if person wants to devote less time, then accordingly the person can make space for that. And more people within the organization should be identified to look at collaborating with colleges at different levels. So I think this is my main crux of how the collaboration standard should really mushroom going forward.
Thank you so much, Pooja and Priya, you amongst all of us, I think you have the toughest job. Managing the expectations from a talent perspective, which of course has been the toughest challenge for the industry for over a couple of decades now. So it'll be lovely to hear your views as well.
Uh, Thank you for saying I have the toughest job. I don't think I have the toughest job. I think each one of us does what we need to do. Um, what I would like to share is Genesis PR started off 30 years back. This year we celebrate our 30th year. So
Congratulations.
when we started the firm, we frankly had the honor or the privilege of actually having no talent in the market because there was no understanding of PR. And that has created the legacy of learning being one of our values, learning being one of the key pillars on which we continue to build and operate. And even today, the CEO for BCW India, for the past so many years, she runs programs in institutes, in campuses where she goes in and she teaches PR, and she actually has an Excel sheet. So I go in and I hire and I pick students from the same campus, and then she'll check my scores. Okay, I have the scores and I know which students you should have picked. I don't want to influence your decision because you as the hiring team can go and pick who you think is the right fitment for the role. But she maintains her Excel sheet where she will cross-check that, okay, how did you end up picking this student? So we realized the importance of having this collaboration. We also realize what happens when they join us. There is, despite all this collaboration, the world is changing just so fast. The number of skills that you require, the multifaceted person that you're required to be and to deliver. It keeps us on our toes because we know that the minute we bring in somebody, we then have to work with them to make them fit into the job as soon as possible and to leverage the skills that the person brings. So I would go back to what Ramola ma'am said. We don't teach grammar. And when I'm going to a campus, frankly, any hiring that I'm doing at the fresher level, I'm not so worried about what degree a person came with, what is the person wanting to do. I'm more worried about, is the grammar right? We can't teach English. Is the attitude right? Is the person happy to learn? Once they're happy to learn, we've had amazing examples of people who've come in from sociology batches. We've had examples of people who've come in from international studies. Luckily or unluckily, after international studies, there's actually pretty much no career path unless you actually become an international bureaucrat. So we're happy to take people from all streams as long as they're passionate communicators and they're willing to learn and adapt as fast as the pace of the industry changes. So that's what I would like to say.
Thank you so much, Priya, and I couldn't agree more. But unfortunately, by the time people reach the, degree and post-degree levels, institutes can barely make any intervention from grammar level, right? Because that's the foundation. You can't, intervene and, make somebody's grammar better when they are like 21 or 23 years old. But going back to Surbi, you mentioned you have a practice of engaging students in real-time campaigns. So if you can just throw some light on how those campaigns have bettered the ability of students to come up with ideas which are relatively more innovative and be ready for the industry.
Yeah, Chetan, thanks for your question. So yes, real-time campaigns are very, very important. What we try and do at IMC is to divide the class in 8 to 10 groups, and there are like, 6, 7, 8 students in a group. And we ask them to tie up with either some ad agency or some PR agency or some, brand. I remember I was heading the ADPR department at IMC in 2017, where I tied up for my students, the whole class, with Ministry of Road Transport. So we were given a campaign to prepare campaigns for road safety, right? All the 8 groups that year prepared different road safety campaigns for the ministry. And they were so happy that they gave us 1 lakh rupee as prize money, which I distributed amongst the first 3 groups, and the rest of the groups got 5,000 as consolation prizes on their convocation along with the certificate. So they were really very happy. What these real-time campaigns make them do is to understand the real-time situation in which the client is, and they strategize accordingly. So I always tell them, you do a brief history, you do a concise on what is the status of that brand, whether it is in the initial stage or in the growth stage or in the development stage, or it is at a saturation point, or there's another PLC that's going on from that stage. So you assess the situation, you come to know what is the real budget, you work in that budget, and then you actually try and think out of the box. And young minds are full of ideas, and I always tell them, jot down your ideas because they're going to fly away, and work on those ideas. So 8 of them will work on separate ideas, and then they'll sit together and work, discuss which ideas are best, and work on 2 ideas first, and then whatever can develop the best, they will work on one single idea and prepare that campaign, which is a sort of an integrated marketing campaign. They do the advertising strategies, they do the PR strategies, they make the media plan, and each and everything they try and do and sync with the objectives of that company. So yes, Chetan, I feel that real-time campaigns are very, very important, and they are, really, a learning process. And the outcome is, matchless, and the industry should also come forward to help these students, maybe with smaller budgets, 2 lakh, 5 lakhs, or whatever they can offer. And I'm sure, there are companies who can offer more. It all depends on the students also and the faculty also, how they are coordinating, how they are approaching the industry. And maybe, that's a feat that they can, start with. And I have witnessed many cases where students have become entrepreneurs. Scoop Whoop is another excellent example from IIMC. Scoop Whoop was started by 3 classmates of IIMC, and I was writing a book previously on Indian media giants, which has just been published by Oxford and came last week, and it will be available on Amazon from next week. So they asked me to write another book on entrepreneurial journalism in India. And I was really happy to do it, and I just completed that book. So and I've submitted, maybe it comes next year. So I interviewed those people, those students of IMC as an entrepreneur, how they have developed. So they said, like, I was talking to Rishi Pratim and others, and they said, ma'am, I was doing a job, and one night I just thought that, let me write this. And I just wrote an article, which was a funny article. And next morning on Facebook, and next morning, it had 500,000 views. And my boss was asking me, who is this? And I had no guts to say this is me. So it turns, your life sometimes. So real-time, working and campaign planning and, doing a strategic work is excellent, and I'm all for it. And I make sure that 2 people, at least from a class of 70 that I teach, must become entrepreneurs, because I know that they are going to give, other people also jobs. Today, Scoop Whoop is, I think, they've hired around 170 employees. So I'm proud of that. And let's get going
Wonderful.
with
I
the
think that's a great
industry academia
example,
collaboration.
Purvi. Fantastic example. So let's check with the industry. How excited are they to get kids beyond internship and put them on live campaigns? Because more often than not, what happens, with 1 month, sometimes just 20 days of internship. It's just, dabbling with very administrative kind of work, execution kind of work, and nothing more strategic or campaign led. I could be wrong, but that's coming purely from my experience, and also because the time frame is so limited. You don't have the wherewithal to give them an opportunity which can extend to a couple of months. But working on live campaigns can offer that opportunity. Is the solution in the fact that the internship period could be extended to 2 to 3 months, or could be done parallelly alongside the academic persuasion. Pooja, over to you.
So I feel that real-time campaigns and having interns on that, see what they can actually do is to collaborate on the research part of it. So, that is also an important aspect that they can look into.
Yeah.
Having said that, it's not necessarily that everything they will have to just learn, because see, PR is a skill set evolution journey. So what we say sometimes, oh my God, it's pressure, client pressure, management pressure, this pressure. I think that is a takeaway which they can learn in that environment. And for us also, so when we say you need to upskill, you need to learn multitasking. So these are programs, these are skill sets which you cannot learn online. These are skill sets which you will learn on ground. These are the skill sets when you have 2 calls, you need to prioritize. You need to know whose call you should pick up first. So these are the things that you will learn, and if the child is able to learn only this much, I think that's a good hire. So, these are the contributions that the person makes, intangible contributions. And if these intangible contributions are identified by the organization, then that is a hire that an organization should look at. So, looking at these aspects, and the person can eventually keep on doing. You give them 2, 3 other tasks, you tell them. And one more thing, I feel that this current generation is exceptional when it comes to social media. So they know everything. You can learn from them about Instagram. You can learn from them about all these things. So these are some identified contributions which you should also realize and work towards their strengths. Nurture their strengths, and at the same time help them overcome and learn on ground. So I think that's how I would want to position it.
Fair point, Pooja. Priya, you want to share your views on this?
Just a couple of things. One is we try and not give internships for short term. Our minimum internships are 2 months because we don't think that anybody learns anything in 15, 20 days. They're still just settling into the environment. So we make it a point that the person takes it seriously. It has to be a minimum of 2 months, while we love to get longer internships where possible and where it meets the curriculum requirements. The second challenge that we face when working on real-time campaigns is today compliances are extremely high. Especially even at an RFP stage, a client will first make you sign an NDA before they put you on even before they get your response. So it's always a challenge to get an external batch supporting a campaign, or actually putting them on real-time situations because of just confidentiality challenges. But what we use as training mechanisms is more the work that we do on our community, on the community front, where we support a few organizations, and our employees support community by providing communication support and campaigns for them and actually running them. Those are great training grounds, not just for our own employees, but also the academic connects that we have. Because working on a real-time campaign, running it through the year, seeing it evolve, executing it, going back and fixing it, ideating to put it back on track and doing well, it is real-time success. And there is nothing that beats that excitement of actually seeing your work happen. It's not just theory. It's on ground, and it's happening, and you're running it. So it's great stuff.
Thanks, Priya. I think very, very valid point.
Chetan, I wanted to
So,
actually add
Kulveen,
one more point. I just
yeah,
wanted to add
please,
one.
please.
Yeah, just one second. So I'm saying even on real time, I think suddenly putting a fresher on a accountability parameter. So real time is also accountability, right? So putting that person on an accountability
Yeah.
parameter is also something which can be overwhelming. So, there should be a direction, there should be a course of action which should be very streamlined for the organization, right? If you suddenly put them on that parameter, they're just going to just say, oh my God, I can't do work at all. So, that should also be strategically be done in case you're putting them on such kind of a module. Yeah.
Sure, Ramalaji.
Uh,
Chetan,
Chetan sir, I had this thought in my mind. All organizations have a mentoring program, the better organizations. I know Infosys has an amazing mentoring program, and I'm sure there are a lot of others. I know Genesis has an
Yeah.
NLP program and all that. Now, one is mentoring your employees. I wondered why not mentoring the students? The agency can start thinking of getting into a mentoring program with institutes. Even if you allocate 6 employees across 4 months and say that, okay, these are the 3 institutes you're going to connect with for 3 to 4 days a week, a month, you've got your mentoring online. And before they come to you, your students have acquired a certain quality of base. The language and this and that and all that stuff and the basic tools you've taught them, right? So that interface with them becomes workable. It's like a workshop, it's not a class. But when you have a workshop, then it works like a shop. you know? So that really makes a hell of a lot of difference. I think maybe
I
we
must
can
compliment
think
your
of,
messaging is very sharp, Ramalaji.
yeah. So I think this mentoring to institutes with schools and with institutes and looking at mentoring young talent, young adults and moving them in the, sometimes little hand holding is good. We all need that. We all grew up with, when somebody held your hand, that's only when you started standing and, crawling and standing and walking. And then now you're running. And now you're running out of breath. Hold on, yeah. Chill karo. Okay, ho jayega. So allow somebody to hold your hand and teach you also. It's a wonderful experience to be taught by wonderful people. I've had some of my students, Parikshit Bhattacharya from Delhi School of Communication, um, Ranjal, and a lot of others who are now with Genesis. Tarana Ahmed was there a long time back. They've done some amazing work. But a lot of it is because of the hand holding that they also got. Nikhil Day was one of the leading handhold people who held their hands. Same way, I'm sure there are a lot. Pooja has been holding the hands of a lot of my students at Media Mantra. We need to connect. We need to connect. It's time that industry came to us also. Not only our students going to them for internships, and yes, 1 month, 2 months में कुछ नहीं होता है, ये तो startup वाली बात है. It takes minimum 3 months for you to deliver the goods. पहले सीख तो लो, सीखोगे तो अपने आप हो जाएगा. Allow yourself the experiential journey. It doesn't work otherwise. Okay, so I think these are the 3-4 things that I was really looking at. And yes, if you have entrepreneurs, why not entrepreneurs in PR? I mean, it's amazing. The young talent that I have, they are all wanting to do their own thing. And within 2-3 years, they will do it. They've got the energy. Okay, so that's that. And
Great. I think very good points, Ramalaji.
Chetan,
So,
can
since
I,
we have
thank you.
just
Thank
about
you.
10
Chetan, can I
minutes left
add
or
to
maybe
this?
8 minutes
There's
left,
an experience I would like to add because we've been looking at
sure,
real
sure.
time.
Kulveen, I thought, since you have more integrated experience than anybody else in the room, and the way we are headed right now is, the lines are of course blurring. All PR agencies are integrated PR agencies, all advertising agencies are integrated advertising agencies, digital agencies are integrated, and marketing agencies integrated. Now, given this scenario, and also the fact that we at least we have some hope with the NEP, right? is changing the way, at least it wishes to change the way how education is delivered. And since, you have a lot of experience, I would, want you to dwell on that subject a little more.
Right. So yeah, before I begin on how NEP is creating more spaces for better collaboration between industry and academia, because that's what the thrust is. Uh, you know, just a line about live activations and real-time campaigns. Let's not forget that our experiences, we've been doing live activations and real-time campaigns. Our students have been doing them for the last 15 years. So the experience has been very diverse and very rich at times. When you're doing it for political parties, when you're doing it for startups, and you know the way, the challenges Pooja and Priya were talking about, at times they'll squeeze the budget. Right from 5 lakhs, they'll come down to 1,20,000. And that is where our abilities, our training, the skill sets we've imparted will be totally challenged. And that is where, and finally, if they're able to deliver, and they've been able to deliver at different points in time. So that is where I guess the confidence really builds up. So that is one thing, the kind of experience you've had working on real-time, integrated, seamless communication campaigns is very rich. If it works well, of course. And then, of course, some hand-holding, like Pooja was talking about, mentorship. We've been talking about mentorship ever since academia and industry started to collaborate. But to answer Chetan's question that in the light of NEP, how do we take this relationship forward? The relationship is going to get stronger because new education policy, especially in media education, is trying to create a space of holistic understanding wherein skills are not merely skills. Skills complement strategic communication, your ability to conceptualize, that is the ability to create ideas, and the ability to understand, measure, and analyze responses. Whether those responses are behavioral, whether those responses are psychosomatic, all of those are coming together in storytelling. Now, that storytelling is largely transmediated if you're talking about peer environments today. So, very interesting times in terms of technological integration, the value of holistic learning, technological integration, and the role of specialization. What new education policy is doing is opening lot of doors for, within the macrocosm of media, trying to find your own strengths and your own specializations. Whether you're looking at digital PR as area of specialization, or if you're looking at social media analytics, or you're simply looking at transmedia storytelling as content creator, or you're looking at, let's say, audiovisual production as, a storyteller, or maybe you are just looking at, market and media research. So there are various areas and substreams of specialization which new education policy is trying to facilitate. And that is exactly, I suddenly am reminded of Nikhil's environment. Let's not create inhibiting environments. Let's create facilitating environments. So more facilitating environments are being created, hopefully, by the new education policy, wherein both of us, on this and that side of the table, industry and academia, will converge, will have more conversations, and will perhaps have those short-term mentorship programs. Short-term would mean 3 to 6 months, and long-term mentorship programs wherein there's a continuous exchange of media practice. And let me tell you, at USMC, we've had this wonderful, we are a one-of-a-kind program in this sense because we are a postgraduate program. In the first year, we offer micromedia, research, and theoretical understanding of the entire Indian media scape. But in the second year, on the lines of IMC, we branch out into individual specializations. So that is like the best of both worlds we are offering. And that is where, on one side, we have a paper which is called PR Cafe, in which you are introduced to the the narrow skills of writing, of analysis, of development, right? And on the other hand, we have the integrated public relations campaign in which the holistic understanding of the entire execution and implementation along with evaluation will come through. So yeah, Chetan, a new education policy has...
Perfect. Thank you so much,
is giving us
Kulveer. Since we have just about a minute and a half left, so I'll just, go around and just...
Chetan sir, if you can hear me, unfortunately we have to stop because
Yes.
we're running out of the time. absolutely out of
Sure,
time.
no
And we are
problem at all.
way,
This was,
we are way far behind the
very, very
time.
interesting. Yes.
Okay, I'm so sorry to cut you. You all are veterans, and thank you for adding the value on this discussion. Thank you so much. I would request you to please take your seats, and we'll be moving to the next session. Thank you once again.